God, I take you far away under the sycamore trees. In the dark trees that blow in the dark trees that blow.
And welcome to Twin Peaks Unwrapped. I'm your host, Ben Durant, and beside me is...
Bryon Kazaska.
Hi, Bryon.
Hey, Ben. How's it going?
It's going great. It's going really good. So I thought we'd get back into some more David Lynch shorts. I'm not going to laugh. I'm going to be fine. David Lynch, another David Lynch short.
All right. We can do this without giggling.
Yes. So I thought we'd do his short, Premonitions Following an Evil Deed.
Yeah, which is something that you mentioned to me last year when we were doing the shorts before the holidays. And we didn't touch upon it. We didn't have the time. And I was like, we could have had the time because this is not very long.
Yeah, this is less than a minute long. It's probably one of his shortest shorts.
It is the shortest short if there ever was a short.
We're going to stretch this out. So when we talk really slow, it's because we don't have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
So this had to do, the video is Lumiere and Company, and it had to do with 41 directors coming together and using the Lumiere camera. So this is, in 1995 was the 100th anniversary of the invention of the movies by the Lumiere brothers. And they had their special camera, this like wooden box that you use to make films.
Wow.
And all these directors had to go agree to these certain rules. And first I'll read you what Lynch thought the rules were, and I think they might be a little different. But
okay.
Lynch thought the rules were the film could be no longer than 52 seconds. That's true. No synchronized sound was permitted. No more than 3 takes. And you could not stop, and you had to have used natural light. That's pretty much... I think the first 3 were pretty much right. The film could not be longer than 52 seconds.
Yeah.
No synchronized sound was permitted, and no more than 3 takes. And I believe also once you started filming it, you just had to let it go. Like you had to basically use up the film.
Yeah. Well, how would you edit? You're not editing this.
Right. Well, some people with video you could do in edit. Edit. Like you could start. I don't think you're allowed to do that, even though it's amazing what Lynch does in this piece. But I don't think he ever stopped the film. I mean, it kept on going.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
So there's about 41 directors who did this, and some of them were like Spike Lee, who, he had a baby at the time, and he just put the baby right there, and all you saw was the baby in a stroller, and he recorded sound of him saying, "Speak, talk, come on, talk."
Yeah.
And that's it. But there was nothing. I mean, the camera didn't move anywhere. It just was on that. And the thing is, I think 100 years before that, around that time, they did have a film of a baby in a carriage. So I think that he's basing this on an old movie of just that.
That makes sense.
And then there was another one where some Down syndrome couples were kissing, and the whole thing was just them kissing. They were kind of looking at all sweet, and then they would kiss, and it was a sweet thing. 52 seconds of just them looking at each other and then giving a smooch.
Yeah.
But David Lynch is, I think, I've seen the video of the Lumiere and Company, and nothing compares to what Lynch has done. I mean,
it's like a mini movie.
It's a mini movie, and it's quite amazing what he's done because, I mean, he's panning, and seems like the camera's moving around, and there's a lot going on.
And there's sets.
And there's sets.
And like on YouTube, it is up there. I'd say it's about 1:03. I don't know if that sounds right.
Yeah.
1:03. Shall we play and break it down?
Yeah, it sounds good. So why don't it starts off with. It's funny because it is there's like a dream quality to this a little bit. Like there seems to be like a. I don't know if it's the camera. I don't think it's the camera, but there's like a haze or like a smoky atmosphere. And it starts with 3 police officers going over a gate, and there's a dead body, a woman, I believe.
Laura Palmer.
It's not Laura Palmer.
And it's Harry, it is Andy, and it is Cooper investigating the murder
There you go.
of Laura Palmer. So they walk over towards the body, and then it just goes to black.
Yeah, but there's like it almost looks like a pan, but again, I think there's something that he's doing practical or that he's doing
Putting something in front of the camera.
In front of the camera. So maybe it could just be a black cloth that they're just running over the camera, but it looks like a wipe that's swiping right over the camera. And so he's doing that so that he can move the camera very quickly. And there's another shot with we will know that it ends up being the mother of the girl,
Sarah Palmer.
Sarah Palmer. But she's in the living room, and it's a beautiful medium shot where from her stomach to her head, and it's a beautiful to be that quick from you're outside with the police to this medium shot of the mom in her living room.
On the couch.
Yeah. So it looks like she heard something. I'm guessing that we'll learn later on there's a knock at the door. But so she turns and she seems like she's heard something, and then again it goes black again.
Yeah.
So again, Lynch is moving the camera and setting up another shot. So we've already had 2 shots where almost all the directors that I remember watching their pieces, it was one shot. It was like you had 52 seconds and you're just watching people kiss, or you're watching the baby, or you're watching something else. It's not that much going on. So here we are, and we have another shot.
And this one's hard to really look at. It looks like 2 people on a swing of some sort outside, maybe.
Yeah, I agree.
It's very grandma-esque, like you're in a garden.
Right, I agree.
Right? Does it look like
trees?
trees?
If we play it a little bit more, can we see anything else out of it?
Okay,
so I do wonder if they're part of the same area that they found the dead body, because it seems like these 3 women on a swing or outside that they probably are reacting to.
Yeah.
There is no voices in this, if I remember right. There's
just
this music and there's sound effects and
and one of them gets up and walks over, and then he does a white dissolve.
Yeah, and sometimes I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, you're right. It could be a white curtain, or sometimes I'm wondering if it's smoke, and maybe it's just the sound that makes me think there's smoke. And it's funny how Lynch always has a way with sound, and it's always interesting to see what he's done with this.
Yeah. It's a white transition, and there's the smoke, Ben. So that's why it comes back from a white smoke.
But it's quite possible that he started with a white curtain to do the transition and then use smoke with that.
Yeah.
And so this is what gets kind of strange. It seems to be aliens.
Well, okay, so there's this woman naked in a tube of water, and it looks very reminiscent of Star Wars when Luke is in the
Empire Strikes Back, yes.
When Luke's in the tube?
Yes.
That's what it looks like.
It does look like that, yes.
And a man holding a pan.
And to me, it's funny because they look like, I thought they were aliens.
Maybe they're aliens. He's got a weird looking face, and it's very sci-fi.
Yes.
It's very sci-fi.
And so the story I thought was, are we getting a flashback that the woman that we saw that was dead was actually kidnapped by aliens?
Ben, I totally see that now. You know why? I think that white transition was done intentionally. That maybe this is a flashback.
Right. I like that.
Because her body's found.
Yes.
But what if she was abducted and the body just appeared there? Those cops, when they're walking towards her, they almost are walking. To me, it looks like they're going to walk past her. Doesn't it?
Yes.
It doesn't look like they're like going to lean down. It looks like they're just walking.
Yes.
Like they don't even know she's there.
Right. They almost stumbled upon her.
Yeah. So it's very sci-fi. Let's play some more. Oh, here we go, Ben. This is a better shot. Alien-like beings with these weird big heads. And the guy's pan's on fire. And this other guy, alien is taking a pole and hitting the tube woman.
It's so elaborate. I mean, like, they made these sets. You're right. Oh, my gosh.
See,
You're right. He hits the tank.
Hits the tank. And then the camera does this quick pan, almost like you're in a Wes Anderson film and it's going into the next part.
Yes.
In another transition.
Well, here's the beautiful thing: this transition. I think it goes into like a cloth, and the cloth catches on fire, and the fire is gonna basically dissolve this cloth, and we're now in, I believe, the living room of.
That's a cool transition.
Yeah.
Fire walk with me, Ben. No, it's just no, but isn't that a cool transition?
It
so
is something.
we basically in that one frame, that couple frames, we got a backstory. I like your theory. Aliens. This is a flashback. It's giving us what happened to this woman, and I think that woman in the tube is possibly the woman on the ground.
Yes.
And something bad happened to her, and now we're going back into reality with this very violent transition with the flame.
I agree with the fire. Yeah. It's very fire walk with me.
Fire walk with me.
What's really something about this too is that we're back in the living room, but we have this wide establishing shot where you can see on the left is maybe the husband in his chair, and you have the mother on the couch, and she's going over to the door.
Yeah.
But it's like before we had a nice close up. Like, I mean, there's a lot they're trying to do, and I don't know how heavy this is. It's like a wooden box, and I think there's wooden tripod, and it's.
Wow.
It's based on the 1895 film camera.
That's cool.
But I'm thinking to myself, do they have like 4 people just trying to pick it up real quick, or maybe 2 people trying to move the camera?
Dolly? Have it on dolly, maybe.
They could have it on dolly, I guess. But I mean, you don't have a zoom. I don't think you can't like just zoom in.
Zoom?
I don't think they had a
Wow.
That's what I mean. So you can't just like zoom in and zoom out on people. I think you had to actually physically move the.
So a dolly, if they had it on tracks, they could have it forward and roll it back.
Right. You're right.
Or like
They
something
probably did that.
movable. Yeah, I think you're like something where it's movable, like you're saying, because maybe they set up in a circle everything, and maybe the cameras just went in a circle.
Oh, I think you're right. That makes perfect sense. Or even like
How else would you do it?
Yeah, there's no time.
There's no time. Have the camera in the center of the room, and you're in a big studio, and you just set up all the shots.
Yeah.
And you go A, B. Maybe they did practice runs and see how it all flows.
I love those type of these movies and these things where they make it look like there's no cuts. Like there was a movie, Alfred Hitchcock called The Rope.
Yes.
And like it was like they'd use the back, or they'd use different ways to make it look like there was never any edits. That it was one single thing. X-Files. Do you remember Triangle? They were on a boat and they went back in time, and Mulder was somebody different and Scully was somebody different. But it was a murder mystery, I think, on a ship, a cruise ship or something like that. But that was like seamless as well. Like, I mean, they did tricks where you push into somebody's back, and when you come back out of the back, that really is a cut, but it make it so it doesn't look like it. But I love those things where you feel like there's no edits with it.
Birdman did that.
Yeah,
that was the newest movie the last couple of years ago. What he did was it would go in a dark alley, someone's back.
Yeah.
And that could have been the cut. And then, like, if the scene went to the next day, the camera would go outside and point at a scenery, and then it would speed up. And then the camera would come down and go to the next scene. It was kind of cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So the mother's about to answer the door. She gets a...
Before we get to it, Ben, I want to mention, it's interesting, this scene, because the guy is sitting in a chair that's kind of reminds me a little bit of the Red Room chair.
He does that round, the round armrests. Yeah, they do kind of.
And doesn't the guy, the way he's sitting there, it just reminds you, and I'm not saying this, but...
Is it Dale Cooper?
No, it reminds me of the guy in Carrie Page's house that shot. The way he's just sitting in the chair shot.
Yes.
And we do know that season 3 was this magnum opus of all his artwork.
Yes.
And people found all these callbacks to his work.
It is something.
And I'm just wondering if this is Carrie Page originally in her family.
I think that's a real stretch.
I know. I'm stretching it.
And she goes, she answers the door, and the police come in.
You can see a shadow.
Oh, you're right. There's a shadow in the window.
Oh, that's creepy.
Like, maybe it's the police. Maybe it's the police still.
We're surrounding the house.
Or maybe it's the aliens.
It could be. I mean,
That is neat. Yeah. So there's a shadow where the window is.
Yeah.
The mother and father get up, and the police.
He must be telling her bad news.
And it ends there. So that's it. They basically have the bad news.
And I think it's one of the aliens in the window.
That's kind of cool.
If you look
I don't even think I noticed that before.
Look at it. It's so creepy, and it's the
does-
big
you're
head.
right. It does have a big head, and I don't see like a police hat on.
No.
Wow.
And it's just staring. And what? Now watch. It steps back. Wait a minute. Is that the woman's shadow? Ben, I think I saw it. I think it's the woman's shadow. It moves when she moves. It's her shadow.
Are you sure?
Yeah. It's the
again.
mom's shadow. Here, let's watch.
I thought we had something.
Me too. She gets up. Watch.
Yeah.
No shadow. She steps. There it is.
Oh,
it
that would have
is-
been cool if it was Alien or something. But you're right. I think it is the mom's
shadow.
That's too bad.
I know.
That would have been I think
Debunked.
debunked in 10 seconds.
Oh man, we really had something going there. Do you remember? This is a little bit off topic. Do you remember 3 Men and a Little Baby?
Yes, there was a whole. What was that? What was the
So when I
concept?
was younger,
Yeah.
we saw the film, and there was a shadow in the back of the scene when they're in the apartment. It was a shadow of a little boy. There was rumors when we were kids. I don't know if you heard the
I
rumors.
do hear something about this.
A child had died there. Someone jumped out, and this was the ghost. They got it on film, and this is what it. Oh man! Well, come to find out, that scene was filmed in a studio. Wasn't a real apartment,
no, of course not.
and it was actually the cutout for the gun holster. And one of the prop people had put it in the window, forgot about it, and it was just part of the shot. But as a child, I remember watching it on VHS, rewinding, going, "Oh my god!" Because I bought into it, and it really scared me. I was like, "That's a ghost."
In the new series, there's Big Ed, and he's looking at the window, and he sees his reflection, but the reflection is not the same as.
I know. It moves.
That's the ghost of Big Ed. That is his alternate version of him from another
Parallel universe.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, that's still creepy. We got to find out if Christian saw that on the big screen.
Yes, that's right. We still got to talk to Christian about
Christian,
that.
if you're listening, send us a message because I'll forget. But yeah, crazy stuff. It's a great little short.
But I think it's just incredible what he decided to do with it. So many of these directors just put their camera one place and did something very simple. Say, hey, we've only got 52 seconds. What am I going to do in that time? I'll have a baby looking at the camera.
He made a featured film.
He really did. He did a mini. Yeah, he told a whole story in 52 seconds.
He did an X-Files episode.
Oh, it was the opening of the X-Files. Like,
yes. You should put the X-Files music above that.
Right.
Oh man, that'd be great.
Right. The next thing you see is Scully and Mulder and saying, "Oh, we got to go solve this case."
Yeah, Scully. Yeah, this would be the opening act to an X-Files episode.
Right. Yeah.
I love it, Ben.
I know there's not a lot we had to talk about with this, but I still thought it was interesting, and I still wanted to share this because I think Lynch is so unique from so many other directors in that he goes off and does his own thing, and he really. I mean, I'm thinking about the set. These other directors, they didn't really have much sets either, and like here he put a whole elaborate thing with this alien, world. I don't even know where they are. I'm thinking they're in the UFO or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it is very Star Wars. It reminds me of sci-fi.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really cool.
Cut it! Good. Way to go!
Nice. Good job, guys.
Just beautiful. Everybody was great.
And now, John Bernardy.
I'm John Bernardy with 25 Years Later site, and this is from my Electricity Nexus column. It's titled, So the Palmers Are All Monsters Now. Did the show's Traumatic Center get a makeover in the final dossier? The Palmers and the uncomfortable nature of their trauma are at the center of Twin Peaks, but thanks to Tamara Preston's interpretation in the final dossier, the reality of the Palmers' trauma has possibly been redefined into the product of the demons Judy and Beelzebub finding each other and mating. Is Twin Peaks still the same kind of story at its heart? I do realize there are multiple ways, as there are with anything Twin Peaks, to read the Judy and Bob situation, but today's column is working under the assumption it is now supposed to be true. Being honest, I'm really struggling with this, and I really need to write this column so I can explore why this path was suggested to be part of the greater Twin Peaks mythology in the first place. I think the fundamental structure of Laura's dynamics with her family has changed, and therefore herself and her experiences are also changed. I can't comprehend why it was done. Suddenly it seems less about Laura being an incest victim and more about being the offspring of monsters. Laura being a victim of incest happens to be an effect of that, but is no longer the primary issue. It seems like Laura is now being framed in a larger situation, and I don't know how incest survivors should feel about that, much less anyone who ever needed Laura to be a regular girl dealing with extraordinary circumstances, because she's not just a regular girl anymore. She's born from the demons, and firemen are imbuing her with golden life force. All the people Cheryl Lee said she made Fire Walk With Me for, the victims of incest and similar abuses, how do they feel about the cosmicifying of their fairly real-world level struggles? Hell, how does Cheryl Lee read this? I can be comfortable enough with one demonic character being part of the equation of Laura's parentage because that means there's a human being, Sarah, who was hoodwinked. There would be a level of secrecy involved that can keep Laura and her mother based in humanity her whole life. But if Sarah, too, has lost her humanity along the way, then there's now a level of destiny to it for Laura, a ridiculousness, a level of demons in love that is just plain bizarre an angle to introduce into the story based on trauma. With this new take, both her parents know Laura is a monster by birth. It becomes something of an inheritance for Laura. She has inhumanity in her. Her father knows this, her mother knows this, Laura may not, but instead of, there is a monster in this house, the story becomes, you are the offspring of monsters. Her entire nature becomes rooted in demon, and she has to somehow deny her biology. Instead of, her life has been invaded by trauma, it becomes, her biology is literally monster. Rather than a rogue agent who could just as easily be inhabited by monsters as she could grow into a normal woman, she near indisputably is the monster. And she has to realize it and overcome it, but how is she supposed to overcome what she literally is made from? It changes the story entirely, and it's not a duality as much as it is about denying yourself to become good, because there's something literally and fundamentally wrong with you in the first place. The Palmer family's trauma at the heart of Twin Peaks went like this. A father was raping his daughter. The daughter drowned her life in drugs and things that kept her too busy to absorb what was happening. A mother was incapable of interacting with it, much less able to stop it, and it was complicated by the fact a demon was possessing the father and encouraging him to cater to his worst natures and attractions. But the daughter was mostly human because her father was, let's say 50% human, and her mother was 100% human. She was raised as a human being. If, as the final dossier heavily suggests, Sarah Palmer was inhabited by a form of demon herself since before she met Leland, that makes things much more complicated because then Laura was raised by two people who had demons within them. She is made from 50% monster, and she was raised by these monsters as well. Nature as well as nurture are severely compromised, and it does not bode well for Laura's humanity. I am not a fan of this potential retcon. It doesn't exactly hamper Laura's agency, but it sure doesn't help it, and I've been protective of Laura's agency since Part 8 set her up as a potential Chosen One character. This choice to involve Sumerian god demons in the mythology seems more in the Chosen One lane than not, and it leaves me massively uncomfortable. It's not a deal breaker, but I'm not a fan of the choice by Lynch and Frost to make this a possibility. It got me making Bob and Judy comics just to try to force more humanity into this. I'm trying to understand, but it's really difficult. How is a regular human girl supposed to approach dealing with her situation if she potentially needs cosmic help from a fireman to be able to get the bravery to confront her abuser? In Fire Walk With Me, Laura found the bravery inside herself. In Season 3, it appears what she finds in herself is a demon center and help only from a golden globe that didn't originally come from her. And the whole season's mantra is shovel yourself out of the shit, so this can't go well. It's all awkward, but is this, like everything else in Season 3 and Secret History and Final Dossier, a purposeful misdirection? Does this have to do with an unreliable narrator even on this most central issue? Is anything safe from misdirection? is the point to undercut the central trauma and misdirect us away from it. It's put right out there. Tamara Preston specifically talks about looking away after she herself just told us to look at Sumerian god demons as the actual parents of Laura Palmer. Was her demon explanation a moment of looking away from the true issue? Everything else in the book is undercut. Annie being mired in a backstory rife with Season 2 mundanity, masking the fact she's a tulpa or an otherwise Cooper Dougie-like entity. So there's a consistency to base this in. The Diane podcast mentioned how Lynch and Frost are actually telling a simple story in Season 3, but they put all these plot threads in play and make all these wacky eye-catching characters so that we're distracted from the actually straightforward plot. I think this take is spot on, and the trauma associated with the Palmer family is the important thing being misdirected away from in the final dossier. Maybe this book, and less explicitly, the ending of Season 3 as well, is giving us the choice to forget the central trauma. We too can take this opportunity to look away. We can say, oh, it's about that kind of monsters. We can get some rest. Close our eyes, dream a little easier, and we get a chance to ignore the real monsters in play. Tamara mentions the harm of looking away in the conclusion of the final dossier. Is the evil in us real? Is it an intrinsic part of us, a force outside us, or nothing more than a reflection of the void? How do we hold both fear and wonder in the mind at once? Does staring into the darkness offer up answers or resolutions? Later on, she writes, the only answer I can console myself with is this. What if the truth lies just beyond the limits of our fear, and the only way to reach it is to never look away? What if that's why we can never quit trying to overcome it in every moment we're alive? When she writes, how easy it is to quit, give up, lower our eyes. Look what happens to anyone here who lost the fight. I can't help but think she's talking about Sarah. The look away stuff from Tamara might be the official metaphor of the book and possibly Season 3. I've heard it mentioned on multiple podcasts that, specifically in reference to the woodsman's poem, the white of the eyes are revealed when you look away. This guess, as far as I'm concerned, has been proven absolutely correct. Look away from the simple human horrors in Twin Peaks. Make it about Sumerian demons. Make it about anything else other than two parents actively making it impossible for their child to be safe in their own home. Maybe that's how monsters really are made. To go along with Tamara's Sumerian god demons theory, I'll do some looking away and throw in a few other reasonable possibilities for a moment. As I'm proposing in my previous column, the Twin Peaks is a hybrid lodge reality space. It's possible Judy Sarah is a lodge version of Sarah associated with part of Laura's lodge cycle loop as Laura digs herself out of her shit. It's also possible Judy Sarah is the only thing left of Sarah and she's literally haunting regular reality's Twin Peaks, specifically the Palmer house, while the Tremonds are currently the family living in it. The sound in the kitchen when Hawk was talking to Sarah in the doorway could have been Alice Tremond, though it could have also been the real Sarah making a drink while Judy Sarah kept Hawk from entering. There are so many permutations worth considering. But the one that I keep coming back to is the first one. Maybe Sarah is a monster. Used to be, Bob was either a metaphor or he was real after all. It didn't matter which. The darkness was always real, and Laura and Sarah were too. Maybe in the final dossier, it's just Bob and Judy as metaphors, same as it ever was with more demons. Maybe the monster in Sarah is Lynch and Frost's way of implicating Sarah, finally, acknowledging Sarah's guilt after years of leaving her off to the side of the story. Maybe she became a monster after living with her guilt for 25 years. Maybe she's opened herself to an evil spirit and a time quaked her into an overwritten state she must have retroactively always been in. Because, after all, how could a mother let something like that happen to her own daughter? She must have been a monster the whole time. Sarah showed the whites of her eyes to the trauma under her own roof, just like in the 1956 scenes of Part 8 when she let in a monster and things got worse. This is the exact inverse effect of a golden shovel. Sarah is unable to forgive herself and is trapped in a feedback loop of PTSD. According to Season 3 patterns, this means she's doomed to remain looped in a cycle, stuck in place as trauma pummels her as she tries to turn away. This is how monsters are really made. You look away. You close your eyes, you fall asleep, and it becomes a part of you while you're too busy dreaming to realize where you physically are. And it becomes so much a part of you that you must have always been this way. You can't remember a time in your life when you weren't a monster. So you must have always been one. It's the only explanation you can come up with to tell yourself. It's the only way you could let something like this happen to your daughter, and by your own husband, no less. There's no other way this could have happened, right? You must have allowed it. You must be the monster. You must be complicit. If you're Sarah, you may feel there's no other way to read this. There's no avenue you can take to forgive yourself. Because while you look away from what was happening, Laura's trauma became so much a part of you that all you can hear are screams. And there's nothing left of yourself. Nothing left to hold on to, just more things to hide from. The pain around you climbed inside you one night, and it kept getting worse and worse, and it grew in you so long over so much time that you may as well be the thing the monster is wearing. You are hollow inside, and there's no light left. You haven't seen light near your life since your daughter died. Since then, the only thing that can find anything to smile about is the monster, so you let it. I think the seasons 1 and 2 Sarah is the one who we thought she was. A human mother who has one human child and one compromised human demon father, undermining Laura's upbringing from a place of secrecy. And this secrecy, this gaslighting of Sarah, has proven the perfect fertilizer for pain and suffering. Sarah became hollow, filled with darkness, as any mother of a murdered child would likely feel, from her core outward. And being Twin Peaks, this empty woman has become an empty chrysalis, ready to hold any demons inside that would feast on void, until it breaks through the barrier and seeds the world with an explosion of her grief. So to answer the earlier question, I don't think the fundamental trauma at the heart of Twin Peaks has changed. I think what's happened is the trauma at its heart has retroactively changed Twin Peaks itself, both backwards and forwards through time. The monster inside Sarah, after it moved in, did some redecorating to the entire length of Sarah's life. And oh boy, is it a lot darker now. If you like this one, check out this and my other articles at 25yearslatersite.com.
But it was Laura Palmer's life, and that wasn't a pleasant life, a lot of it.
For me, it was wonderful because I felt like I got the opportunity to come full circle with her. It's very strange to play a dead person and to never really get to experience her life force. And I creatively longed for that. You know, during this series, I got to play Maddie, the cousin, but Laura had sort of haunted me.
What's wrong with us? I mean, we have everything.
Everything but everything.
Laura. You always hurt the ones you love.
You mean the ones you pity?
Say whatever you want. I know you love me. And I love you.
Thank you, 25 years later, and thank you to John Bernardy for sending in that piece. We're still doing stuff with 25 years later. I know it's not as weekly as it has been, but we have JC now part of the show once a month, and when we have time to fit a segment in, we're doing our best.
We're talking with 25 years later about having them on the show, different people, and we want to talk about their articles. I think there's some really interesting theories out there I'd love to talk more about, and just just coordinating that. But in the future, I think we're planning on having them on the show to talk about their work.
And they're really going crazy. I mean, they're going to cult TV. I love it. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
If you're like, okay, I'm done with Twin Peaks, they're doing everything. I think Northern Exposure, The X-Files, The Alienists, just really cool stuff.
Yeah.
And they're always asking for suggestions, too.
That's awesome.
So let them know what you want to hear, or read, I should say.
And then listen here.
And you can listen here. Did David Lynch do any more shorts that we'll be doing later on, or do you think this is it for the shorts?
I think we still have a few stuff
Wow.
left. I thought we had something. I thought there was maybe one more or two more left. Well, the thing is, do we want to get into commercials? I mean, like, there's so
I
much...
think in the future we should. We should do a whole... The reason I say we should do the commercials, because the PlayStation 2 ad is literally like this. It's like an egg of Twin Peaks.
Yes.
It is like the red room, and it's like very Twin Peaks. But there's one ad, I think it's for a perfume, that's Blue Rose.
Ah.
Yes. I remember back in the day I watched someone put them on YouTube all together. It was about 30 minutes. And the last one, it was like 2 minutes. It was long.
Wow.
It was a couple minutes long, and it's about the Blue Rose. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
So I think we should do his commercials.
And we still have, for a short, the amputee with Catherine Coulson.
Very exciting.
Yeah, it's actually one of the things I wish we had, when we had talked to Catherine Coulson, I wish we had talked about that, because that's such a bizarre thing. I mean, she has no legs and her little piece. I mean, yeah, so I think at some point we have to do that.
Yes. So we got more coming, more David Lynch shorts.
And at some point we should talk about, he's done cartoons. David Lynch has been in several cartoons. That, it would be fun to talk about that.
And have David Lynch on talking about it, too.
Yes. If we ever talk to David Lynch, I don't even know how we would have to come up with the questions, because there's so much we could talk to him about.
All I want to know is, how did you land the role in Cleveland show? What made you, who approached you? Did you want to do it?
Yes.
How cool is that? We get David Lynch on reruns of the Cleveland show.
Cleveland, 6 months before the federal government relocated me to Stool Bend, my dying sister turned to me and said, "Gus, will you promise me one thing?" And I said, "Anything, Courtney. You did, after all, raise me after Dad killed Mom and then himself." She said, "Gus, promise me that Cheryl will attend Drake University.
Your sister's name was Courtney?
And if anyone gets in the way, cut off their nose and lips."
Okay.
"And you won't be welcome back at my bar."
It's awesome.
So if you have an idea or a suggestion for a show, or maybe something that it's a hidden gem that David Lynch has done and we haven't mentioned it and we might not know about it, you can give us an email at twinpeaksunwrapped@gmail.com. Give us that 5-star rating. Give it a nice little review in the old iTunes.
It really helps. It really helps us out a lot. I mean, it means so much to us.
And iTunes is working?
And it's working! Yes!
Great.
And you can always call us right now at 866-8-UNWRAP, and you could always leave us a message there. And I want to mention, thank you to the people who leave messages on YouTube. I mean, they're awesome. That that's another way that people can listen to us is through YouTube.
Yep. And we're on Google Play. We're on still waiting to hear back from Spotify one day. And at our Podbean page, our homepage.
And thank you to all the people that follow us on Podbean. I mean, it seems like daily I'm seeing people who are always following us there.
We're going to hit remember my thing? I was like, we're going to hit 1,000.
Yes.
We're getting close.
On Podbean?
Yeah.
Wow.
We're getting close.
It's so funny. Like, I didn't even know about Podbean until we did this podcast. So, I know it's a place to check out podcasts, but I'm just amazed that people follow. I'm thinking iTunes. I'm thinking there's so many other ways to check out podcasts.
I feel like everything has its own community.
Yeah.
Cool. So I think Podbean is a cool place for looking for a show or hosting your own show.
Nice.
Got to promote the people who support us, I guess.
Yes. And how is Facebook going?
Facebook's awesome. We're getting lots of feedback from everything, lots of likes. The community's still going good. I'm always in the Twin Peaks different pages posting our stuff. We get a lot of love. Christian, who is an admin in a lot of these pages, he's been really great supporting us on Facebook too.
Awesome.
So thank you.
And we're enjoying Twitter. Twitter's always great. I love the community there. Always a lot of good people out there. Thank you to people.
Yeah. We have a lot of great conversations on Twitter all
and
the time.
how is the community? I mean, it's so strange. It's still kind of a strange thing with the show done. And we have nothing on the horizon for Twin Peaks, and it's I do feel like some of the people have moved on, and that's a little strange too. That there was so much energy and so much excitement about the show when it was on, and then it kind of I don't know. It's just
we live in strange times, Ben.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if we can touch upon this, but I kind of feel like we're in the age of binging and the age of
Aquarius.
Age of Aquarius. We binge. Now, we didn't binge Twin Peaks. We watched it over the summer. But now everybody's like, okay, that's over. On to the next thing. Then you have a group of us who are still talking about it. And I'm rewatching season 2. I'm almost done with that. I'll start watching season 3. And I take my time and I'll watch different shows. But there are a majority of people who are not like that and who are like, I just watched the whole thing of whatever show's popular this weekend.
And they're done.
And they're done. How was it? It was good. Next week, they're watching something else. I'm like 2 years behind. Like, I'm still catching up. And it's interesting because the climate for TV is so fickle and it's so immediate and it's so quick that sometimes I do enjoy when a show is making you watch it week to week. X-Files being that show right now for us, for me, and I know for you, and there's a group of us who watch X-Files week to week, and we love it. But when that's over, I don't watch any. There's no show I watch week to week I look forward to, really.
Yep.
I watch it on my DVR eventually, but I don't, I gotta watch it this week, you know? And it's weird.
It is.
It is weird. We're being deprogrammed, and we're being programmed to step into this Netflix binge mentality.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. I don't know. It's a love-hate relationship.
And I was thinking what's interesting about you is that you stream everything now, right? You stream TV. Like, you are totally cut from cable.
I don't have cable.
And for me, I've had a DVR TiVo for almost 15 years or so.
Yeah,
14 and a half years or so. And, like, I love that. I love being able to skip or rewind, fast forward. And I can't see myself getting away from that. But at the same time, it's different from a lot of people who just watch TV and it's there when they turn it on. For me, it's still kind of, I'm trying to think of the word I'm looking for. It's still active in some ways, or I still have control over my TV time.
You still do.
I do, but you have it a whole different way where you have to then remember that, oh, there's a show out there and I have to go. How do you even keep track of stuff?
I think I had the same mentality with owning a DVR and being obsessed with my DVR.
Yeah. Like
a TiVo. But nothing has changed. Everything's on demand. So it doesn't matter. Hulu is my main thing. X-Files is on Hulu. Saturday Night Live is on Hulu. All the shows I watch is on Hulu.
So you do like wish lists. You just have them recommended, and then they'll just be there for you when
you
hit
a button that says add to my shows, and I have a list of shows, and like all the shows I watch are on Hulu. So after they air at 3 a.m. the next day, they're on there. So I watch X-Files the next day. Netflix I use barely. I use it for their original programming mostly. Like, I think the last thing I watched on Netflix was Mindhunters, which I loved.
Yes.
And Stranger Things. I have PlayStation Vue. PlayStation Vue is streaming TV. So I can get my local channels, and I have TBS, AMC, USA, Sci-Fi Network. I have all the channels.
Yeah.
And they stream them, and they all come in beautiful.
Nice.
And that has a DVR function. So a show I like, I hit add to my shows like a DVR, and it records it. I can record live, like I can record award shows. I can record anything. It has a DVR that lasts for 30 days. You got to watch it in 30 days. It will expire. They don't have unlimited storage. But I have Hulu, which keeps everything.
Yeah.
Unless Hulu is like, we lost our contract with Fox, which they're not because Fox owns a share. I have nothing to worry about. So Hulu is my main. PlayStation Vue I watch for live events, and I watch the morning news on Hulu. PlayStation Vue. So
that's cool.
It's the same. It literally, a DVR is like an on-demand feature. Like, I watch everything on Hulu. I don't have to fast forward.
Well, here's the thing: is so I have the Blu-ray, but I still have all of Twin Peaks on my TiVo. Like, I can't imagine ever deleting it because I like that idea. It's like it's a physical thing, this physical box that I can just hit play and start watching them again. Even though I could just put it.
I own the Blu-rays, and right now I'm rewatching Twin Peaks using Hulu. Hulu's got the entire series.
Nice.
And so does Netflix.
Yes.
And I own it. So if Hulu ever said we're not going to be hosting this, I still have physical medium.
Right.
So it doesn't bother me that much.
Yeah, and it's so funny that I'm kind of in between because we were talking before we even started that it was like I would love to have everything in a digital format because these discs sometimes get scratched up, and like I was like, oh, but I want all these extras, and the digital format is not doing extras really that much. Like I would love to have all of Twin Peaks, the Blu-ray, in a digital format, but I want to have the 6.5 hours of extras and stuff.
That's what you missed out, because I know Twin Peaks season 3 is on digital now. But I don't think it comes with the features.
Right,
so
it doesn't. So
I really feel like physical stuff, like I was saying to you, I feel like buying a box set or something is for the collector in us. Like I bought the box set of X-Files and
which
Twin
I still got to
Peaks.
buy. I want to buy it because it's Blu-ray, right? Yeah.
One of the best collections I own is the box set of Lost.
Yeah.
It's the island.
They did a great job with that.
And you have to find a secret thing in there.
Yeah.
There's a secret thing that... You have to go on YouTube and watch some video to figure it out. It's like crazy complicated. Right. I cheated because I went on YouTube and watched it.
I think I might do the same thing.
I could. There's no way. I'm like, how would you figure that out? But that's for the collector in us. And I think for the people who are just like, I enjoy this, but I enjoy it not enough to care about extras.
Right.
Like a movie, it's $8 digitally. I'll buy it for $8.
Right. It's true.
But there's the age-old question: what's going to happen when that service goes away?
Yes.
Do you just lose that money? Do you lose those movies?
Or you can buy it, right? You can buy it through iTunes or Amazon or something like that too.
Yeah. So I'm kind of in the middle between digital. Like I buy movies that I could care less about extras, and if they're wicked cheap on like a service I go on a lot, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
If I really want it.
Well, you know what's funny too is like, I have kids, so it's hard sometimes to get out of the house. So a lot of times, if it comes out and it's not available yet to rent, I'll still just buy it because, like, boy, if my wife and I went to a movie in the theater, it's going to cost us more money than $15 to buy. So
yeah.
I do a lot of times just buy it.
Yeah, I mean, so then you buy it digitally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, yeah, I don't. It's so funny. I'm in that middle place too. Like, there's a part of me that loves the physical stuff for the extras, but if I'm gonna watch a regular movie or something like that, I probably will. I'll just stream it.
Yeah, just stream it. And then the cool thing is, a lot of movies now, I've actually been saving the cards that come with it, because you can. A lot of them allow you to download have a digital version of that movie on a service you like.
Yeah, that's
like
really nice.
iTunes or Vulu or
I don't remember the other
Voodoo.
ones. Yeah.
Or whatever. That's a great idea, because what if one day I lost all this physical stuff,
right,
by whatever reason? I could technically still have digital versions of it all.
Yeah.
So I think they know that physical medium is kind of going away. And like before the show, I was saying Best Buy announced this year that they are going to phase out their CD section.
Isn't that crazy?
That's a sign of the times.
Isn't that something? In some ways, it's hard to believe that it's taken this long because MP3s are so popular. It's so easy.
Streaming services.
Right. I mean, Apple Music.
I use I'm part of the problem. I use Apple Music for everything.
$10 and I get almost all the music I want.
Yeah, every Friday I go on, add. I listen to it. If I don't like it, I didn't lose. What did I lose? 10 minutes of my time? If there's a band I really like, I will definitely buy their... I've been buying more vinyl. I'll buy the album on vinyl or a CD version, and then the CD version sits on the shelf, collects dust, and that's it.
Yep.
So I don't know. CDs are going away. It makes sense.
Yes.
A lot of kids don't even care about CDs.
I do wonder, is Blu-ray popular? I mean, are we getting to the point where DVDs are going to go away, or are DVDs still really big?
DVD was big.
Yes.
Blu-ray was kind of in the middle. 4K Ultra HD is trying to get that 4K, because I've been buying those.
Oh, you bet 4K?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You have a 4K player?
The Xbox S is a 4K
player.
The S. I upgraded my...
I gotta get a new PlayStation here now.
I bought a couple of those.
Yeah.
To
A
watch
while ago, they were
4K.
talking about coming out with, I think, Violet Ray. It was like a purple...
yeah.
I don't know if they ever came out, but it was supposed to be a bigger storage, and that was going to be the next big thing. But if Blu-rays didn't take off, and 4K, we're right now with 4K, who knows?
I think 4K has legs, because all the systems are 4K, and TVs now, you go to Costco or anywhere, they're all 4K TVs.
It's funny, I have a 4K TV, but I
too.
have no player. Like, I mean, I just do streaming. I mean, YouTube does 4K.
and
Netflix does 4K.
Yeah, and I went up on my Netflix to do 4K. It's a couple bucks extra, but man, oh man, the picture's unbelievable. But yeah, I don't know how 4K seems to be catching on.
Right, it's got to catch on a lot faster because we want our Twin Peaks 4K version.
I know. You know, it's also hard though for 4K to catch on though. Everybody, not that long ago, upgraded their tube TVs to HD TVs.
Yeah.
And then if you're saying to people, well, your HD is not good enough, but it is because there's no network really broadcasting in 4K other than Netflix.
Right.
And if you want to consider that a network, it kind of is. That's the biggest
We're a few
one.
years away still, I think.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see where 4K takes us. It would be great to see a 4K Twin Peaks season 3.
Right. We kind of did.
Yeah.
You and I did.
Yeah, we
kind of
did.
New York. We went.
It was beautiful.
It was such a
It was a great picture.
Yeah.
And they'll give us those deleted scenes that
I do feel like there's some deleted scenes.
They're hiding from us.
Yes. The missing pieces of season 3.
You know, there's these missing pieces. We dug these up. We found them on the hard drive. We combed through them. With that said, Ben, I don't know where we left off. We went on a tangent there.
I think we covered everything. We covered Twitter. We covered Facebook. We covered it all.
We did. So we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Now, if you're playing the movie on a telephone, you will never in a trillion years experience the film. You'll think you have experienced it, but you'll be cheated. It's such a sadness that you think you've seen a film on your fucking telephone. Get real.